Good Friday afternoon to you. Welcome to the Jon Sanchez Show on News Talk 780 KOH. It's a pleasure to be with you and a great pleasure to be with my good friend, my partner, Jason Gaunt. Been in meetings all day long. I would just say, it was like, my goodness, enough meetings. Let's have some fun and get into our zone, Jay, which is the stock market, this incredible show, and forget about all the other things that have happened throughout our day today.
Yeah,
Not that
it's
anything
Friday.
bad's happened. Just, my God, what a busy day.
Good meetings, nothing bad. It was just
Exactly.
lots of things going on here. So it's fun.
Lots of good things going on. Absolutely. Hey,
Good, not quite sure about the market and how it's acting. It seems to, I feel like we're stuck in this spot where folks may have de-risked a little bit, but are still afraid of missing this end of year run, which is
Definitely
very
a
typical
FOMO.
from end of October until the end of the year.
Yep.
And also dealing with government shutdown, and is the economy / market going to start throwing a bit of a hissy fit, especially given that I'd say the bulk of the focus now is on what's the Fed going to do next. And that's going to be based off of economic data that could be muddied, confusing, maybe not even released, like the jobs number today. So, we're at a tentative spot here at near all-time highs. Good spot to be, but tough
Corey
to
and Dwight. Yes, Corey. Sorry to interrupt you. As Corey and Dwight and I were discussing yesterday, I gave this advice, and I want to hear your perspective on it also. And that is, living through a lot of these government shutdowns over the last 35 years, what I recall, because it's been a while, 08, 2018 through the beginning of 19, our last government shutdown. But what I recall, see if you remember the same thing, is the government, investors will give the government a pass card, we'll call it, right? Like we are right now. It's like, oh, okay, the government shut down, market's setting new records every day, blah, blah, blah. But then it gets to a point, and we don't know where that point is. My gut tells me it's around maybe a 2 to 3 week mark. And then it's going to go, you know what? This isn't fun. We're flying blind here, right? We have no economic reports. So then we have that. Okay. So let's use that as part one. Part two then is when the government finally does open up, we're going to get a deluge of economic reports, right? So let's say the government shut down for 2 or 3 weeks. They're going to have to go back and give us those reports that we missed in the prior 2 to 3 weeks, plus all the current ones. Things are just going to go crazy. Like, okay, we had this, but now it's bad, or that was good, now it's bad, and bad good, and all this confusion. So I think we need to really be thinking about that as we go forward. We're government shutdowns are not fun by any means, and you're seeing a lot now. People saying, wait a minute here, I can't, like a lot of military, I read a great article today, a lot of military families like, we can't pay our bills. We're not getting paid, right? And yeah, we know we're going to get paid, but I can't make my mortgage payment. I can't make my car payment. We know, average person has hardly anything saved.
And the tough part is those people have no control over the outcome.
Not at all.
Right?
It's I feel terrible.
Like, okay, I'll vote for whatever. Nope, you don't get to. So, I wish that translated more into people taking the people that they've elected and firing them into a dumpster. But it's difficult, and the market also will eventually start to freak out as to, like it always does. It'll let you know as soon as it's all right. This has gone on long enough, and that's probably when things start to change. The other flip side too is all of the concern around, is this being done on purpose by one side or the other? This is I heard a lot of Project 2025 stuff being thrown around again, where,
I didn't hear that.
Yep, like, oh, this is part of the game plan to get rid of the, fluff here and Democrats there and such. And, the conspiracy theories start to run a little bit rampant too. And that's the part that, I'd rather have this done sooner rather than later, because I don't like when those people start crawling out of boxes.
Well, we can get, as you and I both have said many times, we can become hypochondriacs. We can talk ourselves into anything when it comes to the market. I want to start, Jason, and folks, by the way, thank you again so much for joining us this afternoon. It is a Friday. We're going to recap the week on Wall Street, tell you what we think this market is doing, what it's telling us. And that's where we're just jumping right into, the government shutdown. So we got a lot of things to talk about today. We're going to, as always on Fridays, we kind of do what we call a smorgasbord. We're going to hit a lot of different areas. We'll peer into the dark of next week. I was going to say the calendar, but we can't have a calendar, but we can look at some earnings numbers and so on and so forth, coming up. But Jason, I want to kind of start things off. Again, you and I were in meetings all day long, but I want to share a story that I came across earlier. And I think this is exactly what we're talking about as far as more chatter about market froth at this point. Okay. So this is give a full credit to CNBC. It's on CNBC.com. And the title of the article is Goldman's boss, David Solomon, warns of a stock market drawdown. Quote, people won't feel good. Okay. So listen to this. This is very interesting points and exactly what you and I have been reiterating. Stock markets are due a quote drawdown in the next year or two. Now he's hedging his bet right there. He's saying, we're
Yeah,
going way out.
I agree, David.
Yeah, I think if you were sitting in a room, I think he would not have that in a year or two, in my opinion. After seeing years of being propelled to record highs by the AI frenzy, according to Goldman Sachs CEO David Solomon, quote, markets run in cycles, and whenever we've historically had a significant acceleration in a new technology, that creates a lot of capital formation. Sound familiar? And therefore lots of interesting new companies around it. Sound familiar? You generally see the markets run ahead of the potential. There are going to be winners and losers, he said at an Italian tech week in Turin, Italy today. Someone pointed to the mass adoption of the internet in the late 90s and early 2000s, which led to the emergence of some of the world's largest companies, but also saw investors lose money to what has become as the dot-com bubble. Quote, you're going to see a similar phenomenon here, he said. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 12 to 14 months, we see a drawdown with respect to the equity markets. I think that there will be a lot of capital that's deployed that will turn out not to deliver returns. And when that happens, people won't feel good. An AI bottom has gripped global markets in recent years with a slew of tech companies, multi-billion-dollar deals, and the continuing rise of ChatGPT developer OpenAI. It's been investors' big bet on tech and pour capital into names like Microsoft, Alphabet, Palantir, NVIDIA. Let's say this one, two more quotes I just want to share. He says, it's not going to be let me rephrase. He says, I'm not going to use the word bubble because I don't know. I don't know what the path will be, but I do know people are out on the risk curve because they're excited. And the final quote he said is, when investors are excited, they tend to think about good things that can go right, and they diminish the things you should be skeptical about what can go wrong. There will be a reset. There will be a check at some point. There will be a drawdown. The extent of that will depend upon how long this bull run goes, he added. So, those are exact comments you and I have been saying. We've reacted that way in our portfolios and so on and so forth in many cases. And I think it's just another person, whether you like the guy, dislike him, whatever the case is, but it's just another person saying the same thing. We're frothy. We'll get into market valuations here in a little bit. But I think it's, again, something that everyone needs to be cognizant about, right? Use the surfing analogy. Let's ride the wave while we can, but let's also know when it's time to bail out and paddle to calmer waters.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen a healthy rotation out of expensive US markets into international markets as well. Not to say that the international markets won't feel similar pain, but will the drawdown be better, right? We've talked about it a lot, and it hasn't just, you haven't seen that daily correlation like you've seen historically of US up, international up, US down. And there's been lots of days, certainly in the last couple months, where I've seen US down, international up, US up, international up. Like there's a change going on underneath the covers as well. And probably just because people are chasing lots of things, non-US being one, but China specifically, people saying is Alibaba and some of those other,
Yes.
internet names, the way to play AI now, given relative valuation, et cetera. Much like anything, you're going to start chasing yield. And I don't just mean bond yield, but performance, because managers have lagged. Lots of people have picked lots of times to be defensive for obvious reasons, but have gotten hurt from it, right?
Mm-hmm.
The rally off of the April lows has been bananas strong and seems
30+%.
unwavering, that it just continues to create these sort of air pockets to the upside. The tough part is once everybody's in one side of the boat, we all know what happens. And I think this feels now late innings, not to say that, we don't see, I think we're higher than here at the end of the year, but there will be a pullback of some kind. I think, maybe in the November timeframe, as I keep using that analogy to 2021, it feels similar to me of a lot of money, lots of money chasing few things,
Mm-hmm.
and you get broadening, which is good. Breadth is always good, but you got to just make sure that you're not just buying something because someone else has made lots of money and chasing these high flying, low valuation. They'll work someday. Like I say all the time, if you held on to
They'll
those
always work
.com
someday.
names, other than the handful of pets.com that went away, Amazon had an 80% drawdown too. And look at it now.
Sure.
It's just,
Sure.
what are you going to do during the middle, right? And that's where it's tough to be, where retail tends to get hurt, right? Where
Yes.
people say, oh, my portfolio is doing so well. Well, because you're really concentrated and you have a lot of momentum, most people can't do that in our seat, right?
Yes.
I need
That's
to
correct.
certainly take some bets, but also be diversified for you as well, because I don't want to see a 50% drawdown because the winds change. So it's like we always say, certainly take some fun money that you speculate with and are willing to lose. You've seen crypto very strong over the last couple of days, rotation maybe out of gold and silver, et cetera. But know that when it does fall, it probably is going to fall pretty darn fast,
Yeah,
just given
exactly.
all the strength
That's
that
what
we've
I was
had.
going to say, the exact same thing. All right, when we come back, we're going to continue on this theme about, are we in a frothy market is one of our topics of this afternoon. But also I want to move into two other areas. We talk daily, of course, about the AI trade and how it's propelling this market higher. I mean, it is a massive driving force. You know that. But I want to talk about two other areas that are, I'll say they're kind of fun to talk about, but they're also underlying pushing this market higher. And that is the world of quantum computing and what those stocks have been doing. And then another area that we're just really starting to hear about, and that is the rare earth. We had two companies today that did extremely well. Lithium Americas right here in our backyard, Nevada. And then this company that probably many of you have never heard about before. I love the symbol USAR, right? Like the National Search and Rescue Team, but it's U.S. Rare Earth. So big moves on both of those companies. Again, another pocket of strength at this point. Can it last? Only time will tell, but we'll tell you about those when we come back. Let's turn it over to the wonderful Kristen Snow in the Right Now Traffic Center. Hello, Kristen. Welcome back to the Jon Sanchez Show on Newstalk 780 KOH with Jason Gaunt. All right, here's how we finished. 238 gain on the Dow, a 0.5% rise at 46,758. I think that's good. We're up over 500 at our best level this morning. That was amazing. That was a fun ride. I was right in the middle of my stock updates. I was telling Ross, I remember I'm like, yeah, I think we're going to break 300. And we were like, I don't know, 260. Next report, we're like at up 350. And then I came back the next report and I said, remember when I said 300? Now we're just broke 400. It's just one of those days. It's good stuff.
Who
There.
are the big helpers today inside of the Dow?
You
Any
had
big
big moves in
standouts?
United Health, obviously a very influential stock. It was up, not huge percentage wise, 1.88%, about $6.65. But one of my favorite, companies I love, not recommending this stock, but Caterpillar, $7.46 gain. What we're seeing now is you're seeing a lot of names, or on days where we have the weakness, the names at the bottom of the Dow, they're very small priced stocks, like a Nike, right? A $71 stock. So even though they're down, they're just not influential in the Dow calculation. And so, yeah, it's not been like huge moves. It's just been a lot of them that are up, a decent amount, right? And yeah, that's why we close at a record today. That's a great question. Yeah, 46,758. Snapped our winning streak on the NASDAQ, though, finished down 64, just a 0.28% loss. Yes, the S&P closed at a record. It was less than 0.5% gain today. 1/10 of one. Well, actually, let me rephrase that. 1/10 of 1%, 0.44% gain on the S&P today. Technically, I'd say it's unchanged on the day, but I'm going to say, Jason, it was up, 1/10 of 1%. Because it was a record close at 6,715. I'm gonna really milk this one, right? I like saying record closes. Now, how do we sit on the year-to-date basis, folks? Well, I'll tell you what, we're just plowing higher at this point. NASDAQ for the year is up 18%. S&P higher by 14.2. The Russell 2000, which we're going to talk a lot about, this was a star performer this week, up 11%. And year-to-date, the Dow is up 9.9%. On the commodity side, oil prices, man, I want to be able to tell you that we broke $60 a barrel, came close today, $60.85 a barrel, up 37 cents. Gold continuing its ascent. We'll pick Jason's brain on that one. $40.60 rise, 39.0910 an ounce. And the government shut down, for most of the week. Just a 3 basis point increase on the 10-year Treasury, 4.12% close. Down 7 basis points for the week. Let's go back to gold, my friend. Record set this week a couple times. What the heck's going on with there? It's anybody's guess, isn't it?
I want to feel that the top is close. Just given how it's acting, given some of the momentum, the deterioration.
$4,000?
I think it probably touches there, gets through a bit, but that'll be sort of where a pretty big lid is. Looking over at oil, I think is interesting. I mean, I was looking at oil saying, trying to be where can I bottom pick, right? And looking across oil stocks, the oil sector in general, the chart doesn't even look good. Like it's not like it's way oversold and puked. It just looks like it's underperformed the market. It's clearly not at its highs, but there's nothing in there where I'm like, oh wow, this is really oversold. No one's paying attention to it. It just looks like a lot of cautiously optimistic holders who are slowly puking. It feels like there's potentially more downside across oil services and even just the whole oil sector. So it's tough to pick away at it yet.
Yeah, right,
even given
exactly.
oil looks as bad as it
Not
does.
flashing the buy signals yet. Well, as a reminder, this was a week that we had OPEC Plus indicate that they're going to be in November increasing production. So that's not good for price of oil. Feels great for us as a consumer, but the oil supply and demand. And then the other big news of the week, of course, Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway buying one of the chemical divisions of Occidental Petroleum. So that I noticed that sparked that day. As a matter of fact, if I remember, I think Oxy ended up closing down for the day. I'm looking at it today, rose about 63 cents. But I think that may spark a little bit of buying interest. Like, maybe they're going to start picking, other companies are going to start picking away at some of these names, like you said, that are kind of beaten up and the investor's mind showing a little bit of value there.
Yeah, it just feels like there's more downside before I'd start to look at oil as my barometer for, hey, I should buy a bunch of oil
Right,
stocks.
right.
They really haven't
Nice
gotten,
dividends, though. We're
they've
getting some nice
lagged. Yeah,
dividends.
for sure. And going back to the Berkshire thing is sort of interesting. I mean, that it's an interesting handshake of like, hey, I'll take this
Yes,
thing off your hands
right.
to reduce your debt burden. Oh, and I own a ton of your stock, so that's going to benefit me. And this other item I'm happy to stick in my coffers, and you don't have to worry about it as much. It's a low grower. It's nice to be king for
Yeah,
sure.
it is. Well, what Jason's referring to is Berkshire Hathaway's ownership. I forget what percent of the company he already owned. And then they make this announcement to buy another division, and that gave the stock a pop. And yeah, it's nice to be king because,
Mhm.
we've said this before jokingly that, it must be nice to have that kind of power because, like in that example, you kind of sit back and go, oh, okay, I think the stock's going to pop, X amount of percent or dollars just by me making this announcement, probably pay for the deal, right? Just
Right. Right.
just from that. I mean, that literally happens in a lot of cases. So it's power of money. All right, let's transition back to the tech space for just a moment as we bebop around on this Friday afternoon and talk about. Let's go to the rare earth side for a moment, and then we'll come back after break and go to the quantum sector. So this rare earth, Jason, is this is a story that you and I shared a couple of weeks ago. Let's kind of bring everybody up to date. Symbol LAC, Lithium Americas. This is the massive lithium mine in our backyard of the Nevada desert. I remember the stock got a lot of attention a few weeks ago when it was announced that the government was getting involved in some ownership stake of the company, roughly 10%, right around there. Then the stock went kind of quiet, but no longer that. Today it shot up 34.11%, $2.34 gain to 920. It was nothing with lithium, but it was another miner, rare earth miner called USA Rare Earth, again, symbol USAR. 14.27% gain, up $3.24 to 25.95 when their CEO came out early this morning and said the same thing. Hey, the government's interested in doing some deals with us on this one. So now we're starting to kind of, Jason's shaking his head. Now it's starting to kind of get to this point where, boy, the government's going to have one heck of a diversified portfolio, Jason. I mean, we got Intel and soon to be lithium and, who knows what else. I'd love to see what that portfolio is because I bet there's some names in there we don't even know they own.
Yeah, it's like the new AI drop, right?
Yeah,
In your
yeah,
earnings report is to be like, hey, government sniffing around
that's
at
right.
us,
Good enough for the government. It's good enough for me.
Right.
But I love this sector. I love this rare earth area. Again, as long as EV demand remains and so on and so forth, we need a lot of lithium and rare earths and things along those lines. So I think it's a fun sector to watch. Do you go dump all your money into it? Absolutely not. But for those that have a little bit of aggressiveness to them, take a look at it along with other certain areas and just know what you're doing. It is an aggressive young area going on there. Another one is going to be the quantum computing side. So we'll save that for when we come back. But first, let's turn it over to Jack Saban. He's got news, traffic, and weather. Hello, Jack. Welcome back to the Jon Sanchez Show on News Talk 780 KOH. Happy Friday to all of you. Joined by Jason Gaunt. Once again, we finished at a record close up 238 on the Dow to 46,758, a 0.5% rise. NASDAQ lost 64. S&P just a fractional gain, but enough to say we closed at a record of 6,715. All right. Quick reminder, if you missed any of our shows this week, we've had some jam-packed, a lot of information shows. Please pick up our podcast anywhere you may be, or absolutely go online now and pick up our YouTube. Every one of our shows now are recorded, and you can find it on YouTube. And Jason and I are working feverishly to start building up our YouTube content, and we'll announce when we do things. But
See
a
our
lot
faces.
of was that
You can see our faces.
you can see our faces. Yeah,
Yeah,
don't know if that's a
which
good
is
thing or a
part
bad
of
thing.
the
But
fun of YouTube,
yeah,
right?
there you go. There you go. Exactly.
Charts.
So, yep.
Soon we'll have
Yep.
charts.
I can't. You know what my dream is on the YouTube side? I mean, obviously, this a dream of mine coming true. Just getting this whole thing going, thanks to Bailey to make it all work. But you know what? One of my big dreams are. I don't know if I've shared it with you, so I'll tell everybody publicly. When I can get you to be the professor, and you get to start doing some
So
incredible
dreams are for
Huh?
Dreams are for dreaming.
Okay,
Like
well,
they don't
this is
have
a
to.
goal. Well, it's a goal. Okay, it's Jon Sanchez's personal dream, but it's a
Yes.
goal, and I'm going to make it happen very soon here.
Mm.
Where you are going, we were just talking about Bailey and I were just talking about you yesterday, where you're going to get on there and you're going to be able to conduct a class on some of the great investing strategies, ideas, option trading. I mean, there's so many things that I'm going to extract out of the professor's
But
brain. I'll handle all the retail
it's so
stuff, but
much more fun to just talk to our clients about it here,
well, but
right?
with a lot of things we don't do, like option trading with our clients, but there's a whole bunch
Sure.
of our
Yes.
listeners that love it. Just using that as an
I know.
example,
Yes.
right?
No, I know. Yeah.
You're going to have you're going to be like a college professor teaching the world via YouTube on investing strategies. So you just wait. See, he's at shock. He doesn't even know that I was going to
Just
say that. He doesn't
wait.
even know that's coming, but he's like, yeah, great. How am I going to do that on top of
Yeah.
everything else?
Thanks.
We will. We're going to get together on a Saturday morning. Breakfast with a Broker will be the
Right.
title of it. Be Breakfast with a Broker, and we're going to do a big webinar. And we're going to tape it and let Jason shine on his years as a hedge fund.
I got to think of what my dreams are for you then.
Great. That'd be nice for a change. Yeah,
I've always dreamed of someone fixing my car, and
that's
this
right.
weekend.
No, wrong guy for that one. Wrong guy. All right, my friend, let's move over to the world of quantum computing. This, again, is another area we've touched on periodically over the last few months. Once again, it gets hot, it gets cold. Right now, it's on fire, as of today at least. Give you just a couple names here. Again, not recommending these, but these are some names that were big movers today. You've got Rigetti Computing, 13.02% gain today, up $4.61 to 40.01. Quantum Computing, 22.97% rise today. D-Wave Quantum up 12.35%. Take it away, my friend. This is a fun sector to talk about.
I mean, it's fun, but these companies are earning jack and squat, and you're paying a heck of a lot of money for them.
Yep.
A lot of momentum, a lot of fast money, a lot of memeification. But quantum is going to be an area I would say you really want to catch after the next cycle when the next cycle starts, right?
What do you mean by that?
Again, my opinion, I think these are names that get destroyed, and then you want to buy them when they're down a lot, right? Because they'll be the front runners for the next
why?
phase, just because they have no earnings and they're trading it like a gazillion times no earnings, right? So they have a lot of work to do to prove that their valuation is meaningful, right? That's the tough time. Again, just my meager opinion with
I'm
quantum
laughing
stocks.
because of Rigetti today. Again, as I said, sorry to interrupt you. Rigetti again up 13% today. After the news came out this morning that they had purchased orders totaling $5.7 million for two 9-bit Novera, $5.7 million for two of its 9-qubit Novera quantum computing systems. 5.7 million. I mean, it's like nothing, right? Dollar wise. But for these, to your point, it's like, yeah, the stock pops on this news.
Yeah. They're cool. They're neato stories, right? But I mean,
I love the picture. I got to share with the audience the picture that you gave me last time we were talking about quantum computing a few weeks ago. Jason sent me this picture after the show when you were back back in New York as you were doing the college tour, and this beautiful what was the college campus again?
RPI, Rensselaer Polytech in New York.
Picture this beautiful old. I'll let you describe. You were there. I'm just going off of a picture. The beautiful church with a
it's an old church on their campus that they had bought years and years and years ago, and they got an IBM. They're the only college campus with an IBM quantum computer, and they put it inside of this building. So it's just some interesting irony of a quantum computer inside of an old church, right? Just
a beautiful picture.
But I mean, the market cap of Rigetti, for example, we'll call it $13 billion. How much? How many computers did they get orders for? Like $11 million.
$5.7 million.
So, again, tread carefully.
Okay, so let's educate for those new, because that's a very important market statistic you look at when you're evaluating stocks. Market cap versus, meaning the value of the company, versus the rest of the financials.
The revenue that it makes, right? I mean, again, you buy growth stocks not for now, right? It's, oh, well, great, who cares? They're selling computers now. I'm buying this for what they're going to sell in the long time from now, right? But with momentum, with valuation, with fickle markets, these are the things that get shot first, right? People shoot the dream stocks before they move, when they more safer bets, right? So these things can really work. These are short squeezes. There's about 15% of the float is short in this stock. So that's a reason why when it goes against you, it hurts a lot and then hurts more and more as it goes against you.
Explain
So
what that means, what you just said.
if you short a stock, you sell something you don't own and you have to buy it back to give it back to someone later. So if you sell something and they give you $100 for it and then it goes up in your face, you now got $100 and you owe someone 500, right? Because it is going up and you still haven't bought it back to close out your short position. So
It,
as a position goes against you, it hurts more and more and more because
but
it keeps getting
also,
bigger and bigger.
also by looking at a stock with a large short interest, here's another learning lesson that tells you there's a lot of speculators in the stock, which will move very
Or people
fast.
who are negative on it, right? They
It's
think it
speculators, right?
isn't, and doesn't mean that they're right. It
Right. Well,
just means
right or wrong.
it can, in the whole memification, the GameStop phenomenon, right? That was based off of, I mean, go to a GameStop. Like, how would you think this is going to be some company that's going to survive forever in the, everything's online, everything can be downloaded from your computer, all the games are all digital and now free. How is a retail box store that sells video games really going to be a thing? Therefore, if you're an analyst, fundamentally, you short it because you think it's going to go to zero. And then all of a sudden, people juice the stock, you're short, and you die. And
Yes.
that's really sort of what happened. And that's when you see moves like this, they tend to go hand in hand with high short interest, right? And so there's pain. Those are good things to sniff around if you want to play momentum, but it's also a stock that it's got a lot of work to do before it really grows into any part of where it's trading. So
Here's a couple
again,
of
it could go up $100 more.
Sure,
It's just,
absolutely. You just have to know the risk associated with it. But
yes.
here's a
Amen.
couple other things, and this goes again. This is a great conversation to have, not only in the quantum space, but AI space, any of these other areas that have a lot of momentum right now, at least on the upside. So here's some things you need to look at. So I'm looking at the financials of the company right now. So let's first of all talk about, to Jason's point. Obviously, this thing can rip higher. As of the close of today, October 3rd, 2025, the stock is up 162.52% year to date. Okay, it's
It
almost
was a
163%.
$1 stock in
$1 stock
November
again.
of
Yep,
last year.
closed at
Now it's a
39.92.
$40 stock.
Now,
Yeah.
if you looked at the financials of the company, everything is negative. They're expected to lose 75 cents per share. Price to earnings ratio, negative 53.76. ROE, negative 48.81. EBITDA earnings, negative 70.059. Net margins down 2,080%. I mean, it's just, you just go out and go, oh my God, they look terrible on
Yeah.
paper. But that doesn't mean anything to
Nope.
investors. Not a doggone
To
thing.
traders.
To traders. That's right. That's right.
Right.
That's what you have to know and look at if you
Sure.
start delving into some of these. And I think the other thing too, this would be a great educational topic to do for the audience, Jason, because you're going to see, I think, in my opinion, you're going to see more and more of this as different technologies break out, right? Because of, we'll call AI at the top of this, but those tentacles, as you and I talk about, quantum computing, all these other areas of technology that are just coming about. Data centers. I mean, look at all the different spin-offs of that, right? I mean, there's going to be so many areas that we're not even talking about yet that are going to look like this, where all of a sudden you wake up and like, oh my God, this stock was up 50% and down 30, and just big movers. And I know I've sat up behind this microphone for nearly 30 years. You guys are going to be calling and going, hey, I want that. And I'm like, well, wait a minute here. Look at what's going on. Know the risk that's associated with it. Not saying you can't make money, because there's a lot of these that already year to date you've would have done well. Like Jason said, Bugatti was at $1 a share and almost $40 right now. So it's just an interesting time period, Jason. It's, again, a lot of reflection for those of us that have been around this a long time. I just keep having deja vu of 99 2000. It's like, wow. You look at the financials like I just did. It's like that looked like a .com stock, back in the day, right? Negative,
Yes.
negative,
Yes.
negative. And the only difference I see in this run up is we're not hearing about stock splits. Remember the .com? You'd have all the
Right.
same stuff, but every Friday it's like, oh, here's another 5 companies that are going to do a
Yeah.
2-for-1 split. And you're like, yeah.
JDSU.
JDSU, yeah, pets.com, all those names like that. So anyways, real quickly before we go to break, final comments on quantum computing.
I think it's an amazing area. I think
Yeah,
it's going to be the next
look it up,
generation,
folks.
probably more important than AI.
Yep, I've said
But
that.
we're still a ways out.
Absolutely. All right. there's that. When we come back, let's peer into the calendar for next week and wrap things up with what is this market telling us. Let's wrap it up. Speaking of which, with Kristen Snow, Right Now Traffic Center. Hello, Kristen. Welcome back. Excuse me. Welcome back to the Jon Sanchez Show on News Talk 780 KOH with Jason Gaunt. All right, it's time that we peer into the future to see what next week looks like. Let's go over to the. If you want to look at the earnings calendar, Jay, I'll look at the economic side because I want the easy one because I'm tired. Not much, right? But the only thing I'm confident, assuming that the government stays shut down, which a lot of indications are coming back, indicating that that's no one is anticipating a successful vote next week when everybody gets back. But we've got the Fed minutes that will be released on Wednesday, so that'll
Maybe.
be interesting. Could be, I don't think be any big surprise in there. But University of Michigan consumer confidence number, I don't know if that one's going to be released on Friday. I don't know if that's considered a government thing, but no trade balance data, no initial claims, kind of light, even if it was a normal week with the government open, pretty light calendar next week. So what are we going to be focused on the earnings side? Yes.
Off of that conference call as to what they're seeing.
Yeah, as well as the consumer. Good, a lot of people will look at the airlines as far as how the consumer is faring and so on and so forth, which based upon some of the data we got earlier in the week, consumers doing just fine. You folks are out there spending very nicely. So we thank you for that. All right. What is this market telling us? Let's kind of break this down. Again, you've got two camps that are beginning to develop. So we'll kind of tell you each of our opinions on this. You got two camps that are beginning to develop, Jason. You've got the camp, like we touched on, that are starting to fire the shots across the bow of the boat saying, things get a little frothy. We got a government shutdown, which historically doesn't hurt the stock market. We've got this negative reason, this negative reason. You got to remember, folks, too, a lot of times economists, market strategists, it's easy for them to come out and say that because at some point, like you always allude to, Jason, at some point they're going to be right and they're going to go back. Hey, remember back on this date, I warned you that the market was frothy and look at it now, right? And then they get a bunch of Twitter followers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So kind of take it with a grain of salt. It's again, I'm going to give you a really simple analogy. Ride the wave while you can, but please, this is the time that you want to have that exit plan ready, whether it's, minimize your position holdings, go into some defensive areas, whatever it may be, just have a plan. But in the meantime, it's hard to say, hey, sit here and be conservative because this market's got momentum and it's bullish at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of deterioration in momentum of technology, also consumer discretionary. Those are things to be watching. Financials look pretty good. As I said, energy's somewhat flat. Industrials are looking good. You mentioned CAT. So there's pockets to move towards as you're at least maybe cutting away from an overexposure to technology. It doesn't look crashy. It just looks like there's a sea of change upon us, I would say, near term.
Yeah, and we've seen that a number of times this year, right? We've seen that what we thought was a beginning of a significant rotation, and it goes seems like maybe for a couple of days, and then what does it do? It finds the magnet back to tech and AI and so on and so forth. It's like you said, with the way we opened the show, the FOMO, right? The fear of missing out. No one wants to say, I don't have AI in my portfolio. I don't have quantum computing or rare earths in my portfolio. So yeah, it's great to watch these trades just kind of moving all around. But overall, like I said, we got some pretty nice momentum right now. I hope all of you are making a ton of money. And if you're not, give us a call at our office. We'd love to sit down with you and see what we could do to help you out in your financial dreams and retirement goals. Mr. Gaunt, congratulations. We made it through another week, and I wish you a great
Yes.
weekend, my friend.
You too.
All right, buddy. Thank you. God bless. We'll have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday.